I think it's pretty safe to say that most of us love collabs coming to Fortnite. I mean, I know for sure when I saw Among Us come to the game, Fortnite had officially hit its peak. I mean, you're telling me I can run around with an Iron Man skin and have a little crewmate astronaut guy run around in the back that yells at people for a living. If you were to ask me what makes modern day Fortnite so good, I would easily tell you collabs would be a top 3. Don't get me wrong, the map and the loot pool are definitely more important, but collabs add so much to the new mechanics that we're going to be getting in that season, and for modern Fortnite, collabs have a crucial part in adding a really good loot pool that's going to shake up the game. I'm not saying they solely rely on these collabs, but I would say when a new event pass is added or really leaked at this point, it definitely revolves a lot of hype around the game, and it's fun to predict what we're going to get, and when we actually do get it, they almost always cook up. But there are times where they just waste the collab entirely and just only add a skin, which is still interesting, but it is far from the only thing I want to see from the game. So in this video, we're going to go over all the collabs that they've wasted in the past and what they could have done to make them actually good gameplay wise. You may say, what do you mean Chapter 2 Season 5? This isn't really a collab season. Well, it kinda is. Obviously, it's not a straight up collab season like Nexus War, but it did really revolve around bringing people from other universes in, like Kratos, like Master Chief, like Chun-Li, Ryu, everyone in. So I think it makes sense, especially with how they kind of butchered the whole collab idea throughout the season. Now, cosmetic wise, the collabs were amazing. We got some great skins here, some great collabs all around, but in game we got nothing basically for any of these collabs other than Mandalorian, who's in the battle pass, and Predator. But let's be real, I don't think most people really cared about him in the game. So I just feel like with how good these collabs were, they did so much injustice to them by not putting anything in the game for them. So let's go through what they could have done. Starting off with Kratos, I think this one is pretty easy. We should have got a Leviathan axe for him that you can use like a melee weapon. And I won't say this for most of them, but I think Kratos should have got a boss for just being Kratos, especially with this little trailer in Weeping Woods. They could have easily put a boss there for him. You kill him, you get his axe. I think that would have been sick. And you might say, well, Kratos is supposed to be overpowered. How would you kill him? And to that I say, it's Fortnite. Maybe the guns are just too powerful for him in this universe. I don't know. I mean, we can kill Zeus pretty easily, so Kratos would just be a little bit harder. But just imagine how fun an axe would be. The hammer was already really fun, and just swing around a big ass axe would be super cool, and I'd love to see it added to the game. It'd be a great mechanic all around. And they already got the design down for Kratos and the axe, so I don't see why they couldn't do this. And honestly, I still kind of want to see a boss for him, so maybe they can bring one into this season. But I did say in my Chapter 2 rerun video, if they rerun this season, I really want to see a lot more from it, mostly coming from collabs and bosses. Next up, Ryu and Chun-Li.
Why don't you use the original?
Well, someone told me to change it to that one.
Why?
Because
which I have a pretty cool idea for both of them, although I don't think either of them should be bosses, mostly because I don't think we can have too much bosses around the map, at least at the time of Chapter 2. We still gotta remember this was Chapter 2, so I am kind of going all out for it, which are some things that we wouldn't really expect to see this season, but we did just have Season 4 coming right before it, so I don't see why we wouldn't expect a lot of mythics in this season too. So it's kind of 50-50 for me if I should go all out with this video or not, so I'm just gonna do it because it's fun. I'm still not gonna give them any bosses though, only because I have a better idea. So like the Goku mythic and the other one that made you fly around, I think it makes sense if you got a Hadouken, or how you say it, as ground loot or some type of chest loot around the map. It might seem overpowered at first, but we literally got this in the Goku event, so I don't see why it'd be that bad. And it could do 100 to 150 damage, but you were pretty easily to get shot like the Goku mythic, or like really any super overpowered mythic, so you have to be careful with that obviously, but it'd still be pretty busted, but in a fun way. I had 2 ideas for Chun-Li, and I started out with one, but then I was kind of doubting it until I saw the Avatar trailer today, and I was like, alright, maybe it would work in game. So the first idea I had was a water kick. I think it'd be super cool to get her water kick in game. Obviously it's not a crazy attack, but in the Avatar trailer today I saw someone kicking up in the air with some firepower. So I think it's definitely doable in game. They can either do it where you just walk up to them and you start kicking them, maybe in some sort of combo of 3, I think that would be pretty sick to see. Or maybe she could just send water towards them in 3s with some type of attack. The other one I had was obviously her energy ball, which I think would be less interesting, especially if we're already getting Hadouken, but it would still be pretty interesting to have both these in the game. I was thinking for her kick, if the water's coming from a long range, it should do 70 to 80 in 3 hits, but it is still pretty avoidable. And if she's doing regular kicks, she should do like 20 to 30 damage. And both abilities should get some sort of double jump mechanic like we had in the TMNT update. Now listen, I don't know too much about Halo, but I think I know enough to get a good collab going. I think for sure we should get an energy sword, he could definitely get a boss, because I feel like if Kratos is getting his own boss, they should definitely give Master Chief his. Although I don't think Master Chief is as crazy as a boss as Kratos would be, it'd still be pretty cool to get both of them as a boss in game, especially because we never see any gaming updates for any gaming collab, which is so annoying. So similar to Kratos, I think the energy source to do 50 to 70 damage. I'm not really sure how crazy it would be to actually do this much damage, but I think it'd be a pretty balanced weapon if they did this. And the only reason I'm saying they should definitely get a boss for both of these, because I only think there should be one on the map of either of these. Maybe they could spread them out if it was an energy sword, but there can really only be one Leviathan axe on the map, so this could really go either way. Tell me what you think in the comments. Now Epic absolutely cooked with the Black Panther collab.
What are you doing? We don't do that here.
The skin looked amazing, and I was really happy when we got him a power in Chapter 2 Season 4. But then when he returned in Chapter 2 Season 5 with an actual skin this time, he got nothing. Not even his OG power back in the game. Now I'll be real, I don't think his power is that interesting if you're asking me. So I think they could definitely give him a new mythic, just like the Wolverine claws, but instead of for Black Panther. And they could also add his old mythic at the same time. Now I was gonna say, I don't think there should be many Black Panther claws around the map, because it just doesn't make sense. But also we've already kind of filled up the boss list. So I think if we're gonna get one more boss, it should definitely be Black Panther. It only makes sense. He'd be such a sick boss, and he's one of the best characters in my opinion that's come to Fortnite. So I love to see it happen. And just imagine Black Panther whipping out those claws on you on the top of his little statue, which I will get into POIs in a second. But yeah, the claws work just like Wolverine's claws did, except this time they'll give you super speed, because let's be real, Black Panther be running pretty fast, and I think they should have done this for Wolverine too, but it's fine that they didn't. Now I'll be real, Captain Marvel is one of the few superheroes they don't know much about, but I feel like they could add so much for her. I think some type of hovering ability would be pretty cool. It might be a little bit busted, so they would have to find a way around it where you can only shoot down fireballs or something, whatever kind of power she has. Other than this though, I don't really have many other ideas. There's probably a lot of things they could do with her, but I'd love to see some type of hovering ability that just sends down super cool energy balls. Probably only 30 to 40 damage, so it's not too busted. Now, because we just had a Marvel season before, and we're already giving 2 collabs to Marvel anyways, Green Arrow, who came into the game at this point as a crew pack skin, should definitely get his spot to shine. And I know they brought in bows the next season, but they could definitely give us a little hint at that with his own bow. Maybe even give him his own boss, or just give some type of location where the bow would be. I think that'd be pretty sick, because I love how the bows worked. I just did not like the season that they were in. I'd love to see them in this season. Even if they were only exclusive to one boss, it'd be pretty cool. Lastly, for The Walking Dead, and I know we had a lot of other collabs this season, but I'm not too sure what they could add, so comment below what you think the other collabs this season could have brought to the game. But like I said, moving on to Walking Dead, obviously a crossbow, and I think obviously a knife. I'm not really sure what they use in the show, because I've never watched it, never been a fan of zombie shows. It's never piqued my interest, although it did look like a pretty good show. The only zombie show I have watched though was Officer Dead, which I don't think you guys are gonna know about, but that show goes pretty hard. I think getting crossbows around the map and knives would be super cool to have in the game, especially knives. I don't know how a knife would work in Fortnite, but it's something they haven't added at all, except for a pickaxe, so I'd be pretty hyped to see this in the game. Now for POIs, starting off with Kratos, I think his boss should be somewhere in Weeping Woods, not with any too crazy map changes to him, but I think it'd just be cool to get him there like we had Wolverine. He's just chilling there, and I feel like Kratos and Wolverine are kind of similar, at least as bosses in the game. I mean, I don't know what Kratos would look like as a boss in the game, but I feel like they would be pretty similar. We could easily get some small little Japanese fight stage that reminds us a lot of Street Fighter. I know they could definitely use the one in the trailer, because they literally made a trailer out of it. Why not put it in the game too and have a little bit of fun with it? And there could be an 100% spawn rate of the 2 power-ups here, maybe even in 2 specific chests, so you know that, oh, I can get this power up here and this power up here, and nowhere else on the map would they have this 100% spawn rate. I don't know much about Halo, but I was looking through stuff, and maybe they could get that foreigner artifact place. I don't even know what that is, or maybe some type of base in Weeping Woods. I think that'd make a lot more sense, even though it'd be pretty close to Kratos. Why not? And then for Black Panther, they could just bring back his statue. I don't even know why it wasn't brought back this season when they literally added him to the game. Sorry for yelling, but it was just kind of crazy that they didn't do anything for Black Panther when they literally gave him a power up the previous season. There's a lot of other things I think they could have done this season to make it so much better. I still love this season a lot, but I just think they missed on a lot of things, a lot of potential it had. But that's another video to make. I'll probably make a video about that at some point. Tell me in the comments if you want to see something like that. And let's move on to the next stuff. Now, next up I have superhero collabs, so I'm going to be talking about everything from Marvel to Invincible to DC, everything that they've added that has been superhero related that still qualifies as a collab. Starting off with Captain America, which I think is one of the most wasted collabs, at least for superheroes, they've added, because they literally have a power-up in the game for him. In Chapter 1, Season 4, and I'm pretty sure also Season 8, they literally added a Captain America shield and never brought it back into the game, even when they gave him a skin. But when they didn't give him a skin, he had a power-up. Makes no sense to me why they didn't bring this back. They may say that's because it was part of a game mode, but I do not care, bro. They literally added powers to the game next season in Battle Royale. There's no reason why the previous season before they couldn't just give him a shield in the game, or just save him for Chapter 2 Season 4 and give him his own shield. I'm so annoyed that they didn't give him anything at all for his collab other than pretty good cosmetics. I'm not gonna lie, the cosmetics were on fire like usual, but the collab here was just not good in game. I'm gonna talk about Sam Wilson next because he also qualifies under this Captain America umbrella. They had 2 times to fix their mistake. First time with Captain America when they actually added a skin to the game, and then a second time with Sam Wilson, who also has the Captain America shield and wings. And listen, they added wings now, so maybe it was a little too early for this, but I would have loved to see one Captain America shield when Sam Wilson was added to the game, or like a remodel of it because he has a different version of the shield, and then also some wings to fly around it. The shield will only be exclusive to him and a boss, and then obviously the wings will be around the map, you can find them anywhere. And for both of them, the shield could do 60 on attack damage, so when they're just going up to them hitting you, they do 60 damage, and then if they throw it, they do 80 damage and come right back. And maybe if they could hit you twice, it would do 80 and 80, which would give you 160 damage in full. Now moving on to the Spider-Verse stuff.
My holes aren't a curse, they're the answer. Can you stop talking about your holes? You're making everyone uncomfortable over
Which I have mentioned in another video, but I just want to repeat it in this video because it's something I still kind of have a problem with. Starting with Gwen, I think they should have gave her web shooters when she came to the game in Chapter 3 Season 4. Now listen, I do not remember them in the game, and I looked it up and I couldn't find anything about them being in the game, so if I'm wrong, tell me in the comments, but I swear to God, they did not add these. And I don't know why, because it only makes sense that if you added them for Spider-Man, why not add them for Gwen Stacy too, and they're the best mythic in the game, and they add so much to the gameplay in general. Now when Miles and Miguel came into the game, I was very happy to see that they at least added the web shooters back, because I didn't know if they were after they didn't add them for Gwen. I was happy with that for starters, because it's one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm happy they at least tried to go all out with the collab. But Miles also has electric powers, and I think it would have been super cool to see something with them in the game. Maybe like 3 lightning punches at a time, like a little combo, and they do like 30, 30, 30, or 60, 60, 60. And then he could have a blast attack that does 100, but only to shield. And then Miguel could have some type of claw attack, I guess. I'm not really sure what they could do with him. They don't really have to do anything crazy with him, but it would still be cool just to go all out with it. So it could work like Wolverine's claws, or maybe he could use the little things that he has on his arms. I'm not really sure what they are. Could also be an attack. I'm not really sure how they would work, but they could do that. Now Superman, who is another wasted superhero, it'd be super cool to get some flying power for them. They already did a great animation with this glider, and when I saw it added, I thought he was actually gonna get some type of flying power. They really clickbaited us on that, and I was kind of mad about it. But also, give us some type of laser attack like the Iron Man Dooney beam from his eyes. That'd be sick. And honestly, it'd fix the collab because they really did nothing for Superman, and I think it would add to already such an amazing loophole and probably put the season even higher for me if they did this for Superman. Same honestly goes for Rick, but I'm not going to talk about him in this section, and I really don't have much to say about him other than like some type of portal gun or something like that. Lastly, Invincible, which I know absolutely nothing about, so you're going to have to brace with me on this one. For starters, I looked it up, and I think Invincible has some type of mix of powers with speed, durability, fighting, obviously, super strength, and then also flight. So I think the easiest sort of hero would be super strength and speed, give it some type of punching mythic, and then also make it speed the player up when they use it. Omni-Man seems to also have the same type of powers, but I think for him, they could definitely make him fly up a little bit, or give him some type of boost flight that gets you onto other players' builds, and then also some type of way to demolish players' builds, or some type of throwing ability that does damage. And then for Adam Eve, I would just say Siphon of Regeneration. He also has some other type of magnesis power, but I don't know how we'd work that out. I think we already kind of have that with Omni-Man with his throwing ability, so we'd have to see how that would work in game. Alright, moving on to gaming, the first one I have to mention is the Metal Gear Solid collab.
I'm going to go in my pain.
Listen, I love Metal Gear Solid as a game, and I love Solid Snake as a character, and Raiden. I think the cosmetics were amazing, especially Snake. I use them all the time, but the gameplay features this entire collab were ass. First of all, the EMP, invisibility, whatever the fuck, was not that good. All it did was crack opponent's shield, and they could already spray you before you even got up to them because they could literally see you. Another useless invisibility mythic. Then added on, we got the anvil launcher, which is just an annoying addition to the game because every time you'd open a mythic chest, all that would come out of it was an anvil launcher. They really needed to turn down the spawn rate on these when they came out. It was super annoying. They never really changed this or fixed this, so it would just constantly happen, and it really pissed me off. And they weren't even good in general, just add the RPG instead. And I get it, Solid Snake uses cardboard boxes all the time in the game. I understand that. I just don't care. It's a boring item, and I would have been fine with it. It would have been funny if they actually added some other good items, but when you tell me you only added an anvil launcher, and the only reason they're adding the anvil launcher is because it was an RPG with the scope, and not just adding a new gun like the RPG 7, and then adding an invisibility mythic for the third time that we've already seen just with a small change to it, is just kind of stupid. I hope you can understand what I'm saying. I was just kind of disappointed by this collab, especially because I was super excited for it. Finally though, I think for Raiden, one thing they could have done to save this collab was add a sword for him, even if it was just a reskin of the kinetic blade. I think this would have really changed the game up and really shaken it up and actually brought a fun collab to it. Overall, I just felt like this collab felt super half-assed. That's just my opinion. Maybe you think something else in the comments. Cosmetic wise though, it definitely wasn't half-assed. It was super well done. The Doomslayer and Witcher collabs are just another example of them shoving the gaming collabs into the mud and giving them nothing gameplay wise. So I'm just going to go through these quickly. First of all, for Doomslayer, there are so many guns you could have added to this game that would have really fit Chapter 4 Season 1's theme. Even I, who's not a big fan of Doom, I know there's stuff you could have added to this game that would have been super fun to play with and really made the collab feel like an actual event or actual collab. Such as the BFG 9000. That's just one gun they could have added. They also could have added the mini cannon or whatever it's called. I'm not really sure what the guns are called in this game, but it's just annoying when they don't add anything for the gaming collabs, and I feel like the gaming collabs are some of the most expansive collabs you could really have. Moving on to The Witcher, Garou already had a great skin, some great cosmetics for him, but again, he didn't even have a sword, and I know we already got swords this season. They could have just gave him a mythic one or made him his own exclusive sword. This would have been super cool to have, and it would have really, like I said, added on to this collab in so many different ways, and I'm just kind of disappointed they didn't do this. Even for collabs like Resident Evil 4 or Alan Wake, there's obviously not too many guns you could add because it's a pretty basic loophole in those types of games, but you could go and talk to them, put them on the map, and they could have a hunting rifle or flare guns to buy from them. Things like this that are seen in the game, just not really anything new. I'd have to say for most of Fortnite's collabs, especially item shop ones, we really don't get much inside of the game, and that's something I've kind of accepted, but I just wish they wouldn't waste these ones that could have a lot of potential and just throw them in the item shop. Maybe in a battle pass, even though yes, it is annoying that they won't come back, I'd honestly rather get more gameplay mechanics in the game. It's a lot more fun to have these types of things, and honestly, I would even say put them in the game, you know, even when they're in the item shop, put some gameplay mechanics in the game to really shake it up. That's what I want to see. But again, the cosmetics are always on point with Fortnite, especially when it comes to collabs, and that's one thing I have to praise them for.